So getting a lot of kills in Fortnite is actually pretty easy, but only if you know what to do. Now I have gotten 20 and nearly 30 kill games from just a couple of simple tricks that I'm going to show you now. So we are in the battle bus now. The very first thing is to memorize its route, where it's flying over, where it's not flying over, and so on. This is the most crucial thing to do to get a lot of kills, and you'll see why in just a couple of minutes. Anyway, on to where to land. Now you may think you want to land somewhere really popular, like right over here, because you know, a lot of people will be going there, and if you want to get a lot of kills, you should go to where a lot of people are. However, that couldn't be further from the truth. Well, kind of. You see, this will actually hurt you, because at places like this, the early game is super RNG based, on like who gets a good gun and if people are in your houses, and factors you just simply can't control. You can't control for there to be a golden tactical shotgun in your very first chest, yet the guy next to you, well, he might just get that lucky. Because of this, you'll most probably get killed, which defeats the whole purpose of, you know, getting a lot of kills. So instead, you're going to want to land somewhere over here, which is just a little bit more isolated, but there'll still be a fair amount of players landing there. But it won't be too overwhelming. Why I found that my best games almost never start with me landing some massive hot drop, meaning like 10 plus kills in the first 5 minutes, but instead more of a cold drop, still a couple of players going there, sure, where I leave the early game with a couple of kills, then get a fair amount of kills in the mid game and a fair amount in the end game, when people are distracted, nervous, and low on health. So in just a second, I'll tell you the simple trick that me and my friends used to get, I believe, a 30 kill win this one time. We may have been a kill or two off. I'm still a little bit salty about that, but still not bad nonetheless. But of course, first, while we are landing, if you do want to learn how to get a lot of kills in Fortnite, how to win in Fortnite, and all the latest and hidden Fortnite tricks, subscribe with notifications. We are less than 7k from our goal of 50,000 subscribers by the end of the season, and if you did subscribe, we could actually hit it right this very second, because after all, over 95% of you aren't subscribed. So, you know, I'd really appreciate that a lot. Also guys, use code StormRanger, I'd appreciate it a lot, and the support helps me keep making these guides for you all. Okay guys, while we loot up, I'll tell you about the trick. We may or may not have just played in squads. Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but there is literally no skill-based matchmaking in squads, so most of the players aren't very good. Even if you're like the best player in the world, you'll be going against a bunch of noobs. Let's face it, mostly noobs play squads, and there are actually quite a few bots on top of that. But even when we did face good players, we stuck close together, because from my experience, it's best to pick on one player at a time than overwhelm that player during a 4 versus 1 situation. Now trust me, most squads are often separated and disorganized, so if you have literally anything that resembles a strong team, you will have a huge advantage against your opponents, and your team can easily average 20 plus kills around and pretty much win every game. I promise I'm not lying to you all. I admit I don't play much squads, but I cannot remember the last time I was in a full team, was genuinely trying, and actually lost a game of squads, so it's actually like a lot easier than solos. Okay, but we're in a game of solos now to make it a little bit more challenging, and don't worry guys, trust me, if I actually do die enough times, we'll go into a game of squads. Now because I spent so long explaining things, players have probably rotated out a little bit by now, so you're going to want to be a little bit faster than this. But what did we do here? Well, first of all, we found a good house, which is this big hotel room. You want to find somewhere where players don't land that often, but still have a lot of loot. As you can see, there's a lot of loot in this big building, even though we got pretty bad loot this round, but pretend that we actually got good loot, then land there a bunch of times, memorize all the chests, all the ammo boxes, and keep on going there so we can get a good start in the first minute, 2 minutes of the game. Then from there, once we have good loot, like this blue tack right here, how many players do you think have a blue tack by this point in the game? Probably a fair amount considering I took forever to loot, but if I only took a minute to loot like I should have, we can then take a good loot, then push players who don't have good loot, and take advantage of their slower starts to the game. It's also even better if they're in a fight, because I hate to break it to you, but the early game is all about third party, and this guy, he's kind of alone. I'm gonna drop in on him. Come on, we can get this guy. He should be easy. And he is dead. You don't really want to do that because the early game is all about third party and take advantage of players when they don't expect you to be there and when they're pretty low on health. I know it's really annoying when it happens to you, but it's probably the safest and easiest way to get kills. I'm sorry to break it to you guys. Alright guys, let's head into a new route now so I can show you all this in action, and totally not because I'm filming this at 9 o'clock night and really want to eat. What is this bot doing? Seriously? Oh, it's a player. Got him. Nice. Okay, the bus flew over Misty at the end, and as you can see, there aren't too many players going here. I'm gonna land this house because I actually know it really, really well, and has a lot of good loot in it. Boom, tactical shotgun and 50 shield, first 10 seconds of the game, which is actually really, really useful. Come on. Dare you, come on. He has 3 health left, actually. Okay, there we go, nice, easy kill. The guy didn't have the same shield I had, so I had a huge advantage against him in that fight. No, you cannot put on those minis. I should be the only one with minis. Let's throw grenades up, come on. I blew myself. Oh, guys up top here. Come on, come on. Nice, got him right there. There's one more guy here. Gotta be careful with that third party. Okay. Oh, I'm being sniped. I gotta be really careful. Okay, get down. Gotta get down. Okay, right here, there's actually a big build fight going on, so we gotta be really careful when I hit that third party with our blue tag that we now have early on in the game. If we hit at the right angle, they should be pretty weak. I just heard him kill him. Come on, no, you don't know I'm above you. Oh, I almost got a good hit on him. There we go. He was literally one shot because he was so weak from that fight. Really proving how great the third party is there. I mean, guys, we already have 3 kills in the first probably 2 minutes of the game. I swear this is actually the very first game that I did since last night. There's a perfect balance between loot and players and, of course, space for fights in this location without constantly needing to worry about being third-partied. Okay, there might be one person over there in Misty Meadows, but I'm not going to worry about them for now. Now, I'm sure you're curious. Okay, so what do you want to do for the mid-game? Well, you're going to want to know your rotations. So remember how it was so important when I mentioned where the bus flies over? Let's get somewhere safe so I can talk to you guys about this. So the bus started right over here by Craggy Cliffs, around this area, flew over the orchard, over Colossal Coliseum to Misty Meadows. Okay, I'm actually being bountied, so I gotta take care of this guy. I actually forgot to grab mats. I'm so dumb, I swear. Oh, he was one shot. I did not expect that. I was actually so nervous because I do not want to re-record this. Okay, let's actually get somewhere safe this time. Okay, now back to what I was saying. Now, it's the early game. Bus flew from Craggy Cliffs all the way down over here, over to Misty Meadows. And most people are actually pretty impatient and will jump off the battle bus really the first chance they get. So that means there was probably a fair amount of players going Craggy Cliffs, a fair amount of people going Stealthy Stronghold, though it's not that popular of a location, and then definitely a lot of players going Pleasant Park. Additionally, there are, of course, some people who waited a bit long. So some people probably went Colossal Coliseum, especially because the bus flew right over it pretty early on in its rotations. And then, of course, there are always quite a few players going Salty Towers because it is in the middle of the map, and of course has a fair amount of loot, just like Pleasant Park. Anyway, it's safer to assume that as the bus went further and further down the map, more and more players jumped off, and because most players are impatient, they jumped off earlier on. So therefore, that means there were less players going Hunter's Haven, less players going Lazy Lake, but still probably quite a few. But then the far-off locations like Retail Row, Caddy Corner, Holly Hedges, there were probably only a couple of players going there, and really not too many. Same thing with Slurpee over here. I'm pretty sure if we landed there, there'll be probably 1 or 2 people if we're lucky, so definitely not a lot of players there. The reason so many people went Misty was because the bus flew right over it, though thankfully because it was at the end of the rotation, there weren't too many players there. In fact, it was the ideal amount. So what can we take from all this? So as you can see, the first phase of the storm closed in, but if a lot of players went Pleasant Park and Craggy Cliffs, whoever survived there actually has to rotate out. So you bet there were at least 1 or 2 players from Craggy Cliffs rotating down probably this path right over here, heading off down towards this desert area over here by Colossal Coliseum, probably a couple people too from Pleasant Park, whoever survived, heading down over here towards Salty Towers. So right now there are probably a lot of players by Risky Reels, by Salty Towers, by Colossal Coliseum, at these main areas, because that is where the storm is pushing everyone. On top of that, the people who are at Colossal Coliseum and Salty Towers probably stayed there just for a couple more minutes to loot up, and then after they were pushed by these players coming in towards them, they probably got into a couple of fights. So what can we assume here? Well, we can assume there are probably a lot of players in this general area who were pushed in by the storm, fighting each other, and the storm is actually pushing in now, so more players are rotating in this general area. Now remember, the bus flew over here really early on in the game, so there are a lot of players in this whole part of the map, but the storm is all the way down here. So what does that mean? There are probably a lot of players now. Probably most players on the map right now are actually rotating in as the storm pushes them closer towards this general area over here. So if you want to get a lot of kills, you're going to want to go over to Hunter's Haven, over to Lazy Lake, because a lot of players will actually be pushing here. Like right now, we are in Misty Meadows, and you heard 1 gunshot, but other than that, there are no players here now. Why is that? That's because of how great of a position it is in the storm. It is in the very back, and because not as many players go there, people aren't going to be over here. For example, no one can come from this angle. Who do you think actually landed Camp Cod or landed these outskirt areas? There is no loot here. So there'll probably be no one rotating in all the way back here, so there'll be a really bad area to look for opponents in if you're going all the way to this back here, because there's probably not going to be anyone there, except for, maybe a couple of bots. So let's head over there now. There are a couple players here, so we gotta be a little bit careful, but really not too many, because once again, everyone's over here. But the thing is, do not do what I'm doing right here and driving into the water, because cars don't drive in the water. I know, I couldn't leave it to when I learned about that. Also ignore those guys over there, because they're gonna completely destroy you. Really bad Fortnite playing over here. But what I want to show you guys is, oh my gosh, I just lasered me. How powerful are they? What I wanted to show you was that there'll be a lot of players here, sure, but it's a horrible idea. See, player right there, boom, he's gonna actually shoot at us. Let's see if we can snipe him. Let's see if I'm gonna probably miss this. Yep, miss. Okay, 50 damage. I don't want to fight him just yet, though I'm probably going to lose this. But you do not want to run in just willy-nilly into this part of the circle, or else you're probably going to die like what I'm going to do right now. Now, why is that? Well, that is because there are a lot of players fighting each other here. You got a player here, a player here, a player here, a player here. You're going to have players everywhere, and you're going to be in the very center. So the better move to do is to instead grasp the edge of it. So this is a good area to be. Pick the guys in as you're coming in towards the circle, because you'll be fighting over here. You want to be over here, and then push away. And so get the guy from behind, third party him, then third party that guy, and go on, so on, and so forth. So that is the best move to do. Of course, now it's later in the game, so there's less players here. So now on to the end game strats. Now this guy's going to push me, and he's probably going to kill me. Now this is exactly what you're going to want to not do here, because let's face it, you know, I'm going to die. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Alright guys, as you can see, there are only 10 players left. Now into the end game and what you should do. Now for the strategy that we're going to use, we're going to want to wait for the storm, though this is taking a couple of minutes. So while we do wait, if you do want to learn how to get a lot of kills in Fortnite, how to win in Fortnite, and all the latest and hidden Fortnite tricks, subscribe with notifications. Again guys, we are only 7k from a goal of 50,000 subscribers by the end of the season, and we can actually hit it right this very second if you did subscribe, since after all, over 95% of you all aren't subscribed. And then of course, use code StormRanger. It really means a ton to me and really helps me make more of these guides for you all. Now first of all, what did I do wrong last round? Well, I kind of just went into the center of the storm circle without caring where players are. I wanted to show you that there'd be a lot of players where I was talking about, but I ended up on just getting myself killed in the process. So we're gonna not do that, or we're actually going to do the opposite. Now believe it or not, the endgame was actually one of the best parts of the match to get kills. Now why exactly is that? Well, there are a lot of players which you can pick off while they're in fights, while they're rotating in from the storm. Players are weak, they are nervous, but most importantly, they're all in the same area. So they're like 10 players within, you know, one small little circle. You can find where they are and you want to pick off them while they're off guard. Now, there are two ways to do this. As you notice, the storm is kind of over here, like right next to me. Now, there's actually a pretty good reason for that, because right now I'm actually going to hug the storm. I'm going to walk right next to it. I'll show you an example from earlier today. I actually failed attempt when trying to record this video, embarrassingly enough, but essentially I was able to get behind this player without him even knowing I was there, because I stuck to the storm. Most players aren't going to hug the storm. They're going to be further off. When you hug the storm, you can get players who are rotating in from the storm from behind. Though thankfully I don't see any players right now, which is pretty good considering I only have a pistol. There's also a second option you can do. For this, we actually need to look at the map. Right over here, as you can see, let's say there are a lot of players here, and you know players are going to be here because of rotations, like maybe at Slurpy Swamp. You can go to Weeping Woods, stand right over here, and make the people in Slurpy Swamp push you. Then you can use a weapon like a Scar and spray them as they push you, pressuring them to get stuck in the storm, maybe mess up with their builds, and in the process you can get an easy kill or two. Of course, both strategies are great. It's really up to what you prefer, whether you want to be, you know, in the center of the storm circle making people push you, or try and sneak up from people from behind. But regardless of what strategy you use, always be sure to third party, because remember, that is your friend. Your whole goal here is to get players while they're weak, distracted, and there's no better way to do that than trying to third party them. I also recommend having a sniper for people like this. You can get a quick and easy kill on him and pick them off from a range, but this person's probably going to kill me for right now. Come on, I just want to explain this video to you all. And I'm dead. Now guys, I know I didn't get 20 kills while recording this video. I only do YouTube part-time and only have a couple of hours to do this video, and I wanted to focus mostly on explaining it to you guys and while doing it live. But trust me, when you're doing this and have good loot and have everything, you can easily get a lot of kills. Now on top of that, if you want to learn the best strategies to win in Fortnite, you can click right down here. But that is all I have for now, and I'll see you all later.